My dear brothers and sisters, today we're going to talk about something really important. We'll talk about the tough times faced by those closest to God, the prophets. Just think about it. Why were these chosen people, these guides for humanity, put through the hardest tests? The answer is simple but deep. Their lives were a lesson for all of us. Their struggles weren't a sign of God's displeasure. Instead, they were proof of their strong faith and a beacon of hope for every soul that came after them. These tests were meant to raise their status and show us the true meaning of patience and trusting in God's plan. When we look at our own lives, we often feel overwhelmed by our problems. A small difficulty can sometimes feel like a mountain we can't climb. But when we turn the pages of the prophets' lives, our own problems start to seem smaller. Their stories remind us that hardship is a part of being human, a way for us to become better and grow spiritually. God tests those He loves most. Just like gold is made pure by fire, the human spirit is shined by challenges. The prophets, peace be upon them all, went through unimaginable difficulties not by complaining, but with thankful and patient hearts, teaching us that every hardship has a hidden blessing. A prophet's path is never easy. It's a path filled with loneliness, being rejected, and big personal sacrifices. They were sent to bring humanity out of darkness, out of not knowing, into the light of faith. But often, they were met with teasing, hatred, and cruelty from their own people. Their message of truth was a challenge to the old ways of wrong and unfairness. Their steady stand against such opposition shows a level of trust in God that we should all want to have. They knew for sure that their Lord was with them, and this knowledge was their source of strength, their comfort in sad times. So we must understand that these tests were not punishments. They were chances. Chances for the prophets to show their complete devotion and for us to learn from their perfect examples. Their lives are a practical guide on how to get through the storms of life. They teach us that true strength comes not from avoiding difficulties, but from facing them with a patient and trusting heart. They show us that with every hardship comes ease, and after every night, a new dawn breaks. Their legacy is one of hope, strength, and a strong connection with the Creator of all worlds. Now let's dive into some special examples, my dear friends. Let's think about Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him, the father of prophets. God tested him in every way you could imagine. He was tested with his money, his family, and finally, with his own life when he was thrown into the fire. But did he hesitate? No. His hardest test came with his beloved son, Ishmael. Imagine God telling you to sacrifice the son you longed for in your old age and finally got. Just thinking about it makes your heart tremble. Still, Prophet Abraham completely gave in to God's will, and so did his son. This ultimate act of giving in has always been a symbol of sacrifice and devotion. Then there's the story of Prophet Job, peace be upon him, a name that means patience. He was a man with great wealth, many children, and perfect health. And God tested him by taking all of it away. He got a bad illness that left him weak and alone. His wealth was gone and he lost his children. In this extreme hardship, did he complain? Did he question God's wisdom? Never. Instead, his words were full of praise and thanks. He's a shining example that true thanks isn't just for good times, but even more importantly, for tough times. His patience was rewarded, and God gave him back everything he lost, and more. And what about the handsome and noble prophet Joseph, peace be upon him? His test began in his childhood, at the hands of his own jealous brothers. They threw him into a well, leaving him to die. He was sold as a slave and faced false charges that led to him being in prison for years. He was separated from his beloved father for decades, dealing with loneliness and longing. Through all of this, he held on to his faith and honesty. He never gave up hope in God's plan. Even in the depths of prison, he knew God was with him. His patience and trust were finally proven right when he was raised to great power, able to save a nation and forgive his brothers. There's also the story of Prophet Moses, peace be upon him, who faced the cruelty of a powerful Pharaoh and the constant struggles of his own people, the children of Israel. He saved them from slavery, but their journey in the desert was full of complaints, doubt, and rebellion. He had to put up with them worshiping a golden calf and questioning his power again and again. Still, he never gave up on his mission. He patiently guided them, prayed for them, and taught them, showing great understanding despite their difficult nature. Each of these stories, my dear friends, is a universe of wisdom that teaches us different sides of patience and trust in God. Lessons of patience and faith aren't just for the great prophets. The Holy Quran tells us other inspiring stories too. Think of the Ashab al-Kahf, the people of the cave. They were a group of young men who refused to worship idols and ran away from a cruel king. They chose to leave their homes and families for their faith. They found shelter in a cave, trusting completely in God to protect them. And God gave them a miracle, making them sleep for hundreds of years, keeping them safe, as a sign for future generations. Their story teaches us to give up worldly comforts for the truth and to be absolutely sure of God's protection. Another powerful and heartbreaking event is the story of the Ashab al-Ukhdud, the people of the ditch. They were a group of believers who faced a terrible choice from their cruel rulers: give up their faith or be burned alive. They chose faith. They chose God. Men, women, and even children were thrown into a big ditch filled with fire. They faced a terrible death, but they didn't give up their belief in the one true God. Their firm stand against such unimaginable cruelty is proof of the power of faith, which can even overcome the fear of death. Their sacrifice is remembered in the Quran as a lesson in courage and loyalty. These examples, dear friends, extend to the companions of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and to the righteous Muslims throughout history. Think of Bilal ibn Rabah, who was cruelly tortured under the scorching Meccan sun, with a heavy rock placed on his chest. But his only answer was Ahadun Ahad. He is one. He is one. Think of the family of Yasser, the first martyrs of Islam, who gave their lives for their beliefs. These great souls, God's friends, understood a deep secret. They saw difficulties not as punishment, but as a way to get closer to their Lord. They saw trials as a way to show their love for God and to make their souls pure. This way of thinking is very important for us. When we face a challenge, do we see it as a disaster or as a chance from God? God's friends, the saints, saw every trial as a gift wrapped in difficulty. Just like a loving teacher gives the hardest questions to their smartest student, they knew that God gives the biggest tests to those with the strongest faith. They accepted difficulties with a calm heart, knowing it was a ladder to higher spiritual places. Their lives teach us to change how we see things, to see the divine wisdom behind every event, and to find sweetness in the bitterness of trials. And finally, my dear friends, let's look at the life of the most beloved of all creation, our Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon him. His whole life, from beginning to end, was a series of big tests. He was born an orphan. He lost his mother at a young age, then his beloved grandfather. He buried 6 of his 7 children with his own blessed hands. In Mecca, he was rejected, mocked, and insulted by his own people. He was starved during a 3-year boycott. He was stoned until he bled in Taif and was driven from his home. He faced countless battles where his own life and the future of his community were at stake. Yet through all this pain and sadness, did his character ever change? Did he ever become mean or harsh? Absolutely not. He remained a mercy to all worlds. His kindness and forgiveness were limitless. He forgave the people of Mecca who had hurt him for years. He even showed goodness to those who had harmed him. His heart was a vast ocean of patience and love. He met every challenge with a calm smile and complete trust in God's plan. He never complained, not even once. Instead, he would pray so long at night that his feet would swell, thanking God for his blessings. The Prophet's life is the final lesson in patience and trust in God. It teaches us that no matter how dark the night, we should never lose hope in the dawn. It teaches us that no matter how strong the storm, we must hold on tight to God's rope. His example shows that true strength is not about not suffering, but about being able to keep grace, kindness, and thankfulness in the middle of pain. He showed that true leadership is serving others with a kind heart, even when you are carrying the heaviest burdens yourself. His life is a real-world example that faith is not just a belief in the heart, but a way of living that shapes every action we take. So what is the final message for us today? The message is one of great hope and empowerment. The stories of the prophets and the righteous are not just old tales from the past. They are a living source of strength for you, for me, for all of us. When you feel the weight of the world on your shoulders, remember Job. When you feel betrayed and alone, remember Joseph. When you face a seemingly impossible task, remember Abraham. And when you are overwhelmed by loss and hardship, remember our beloved Prophet Muhammad. Let their patience be your patience and their trust be your trust. Know for sure that every hardship you patiently endure wipes away sins and raises your status with God. Embrace your challenges with a heart full of trust, because true peace and unbreakable strength are found in patience and surrender.